Hey guys, this is David from LearnFrenchVideo.com. Today what I'm going to do is teach you all about reflexive verbs. Basically, these are verbs that describe actions which one does to oneself. These are also called pronominal verbs. In this lesson, my objective is to give you a basic overview, and for more details, please visit LearnFrenchVideo.com. So here's an example. Elle se lave. This means she washes herself. If I wrote elle lave, that would mean she washes, like she washes her car. However, with the se reflexive pronoun, the phrase reads she washes herself. Elle se lave. So let's look at basic conjugation. All of the reflexive pronouns must agree with the subject of the verb. We're going to look at that right now with this verb. Also, you conjugate regular EIR, IR, and RE verbs as you would with any regular verb. And then with irregular verbs, you just conjugate them like irregular verbs. So, let's look at the verb se laver, to wash oneself. And I'm going to go through this slowly to explain. Je me lave means I wash myself. Okay, so after je, if it's a reflexive verb, you put me. So me is that reflexive pronoun. So it basically means I do it to myself. Je me lave. So tu te laves. So you see that after tu, you have to put in a te. And that means you do it to yourself. Tu te laves. Il, elle, or on se lave. So for the third person singular, you say se laver. Okay? Elle se lave, she washes herself. Nous lavons. So for nous and vous, it's pretty easy because the reflexive pronoun is the same as the subject. So nous lavons, we wash ourselves. Vous lavez, you wash yourselves. And il or elle se lave. So basically they, group of men or group of women only, se lave. So again you use se like the third person singular. Now we're going to look at reflexive verbs in the past tense. So what you do is you use être as your auxiliary verb. And I'm going to put a link on my site, but I've just recently done a lesson on how to conjugate verbs which use être in the past tense. So with reflexive verbs, you always use être in the past. So here's how it works. Je me suis lavé. So I washed myself. So if you were using avoir as your auxiliary verb, it would be je me ai lavé. That's wrong. You have to use être. So je me suis lavé. If I were a woman, that lavé would have two e's. Okay? You washed yourself. Tu t'es lavé. So again, we're using être. So if it was avoir, it would be tu t'as lavé, and that's wrong. So il s'est lavé. He washed himself. Okay? Or elle s'est lavée. She washed herself. And you see that for the elle form, laver has an extra e because it's feminine, singular. Nous nous sommes lavés. We washed ourselves. And you see we have to add an s to laver because it has to be in agreement with that plural nous. Okay, now that's just following the être rules for the past tense. Vous vous êtes lavés. You washed yourselves. Again, we add an S. Ils se sont lavés. They, a group of all men or men and women, washed themselves. Ils se sont lavés. So there's one S. And if it's a group of women only, elles se sont lavées. They washed themselves, and you have to add an ES. So here's a list of common reflexive verbs. Repeat after me. S'appeler, s'asseoir, se coucher, se dépêcher, se doucher, s'énerver, se fâcher, se lever, se raser, se souvenir de. Okay guys, that's going to do it for this video. For a more complete list of reflexive verbs, basic conjugations in the present and past, and practice sentences, please visit learnfrenchvideo.com.